Welcome in to Chicago Bears Now, live on YouTube here on is it Wednesday morning? My days are getting all messed up. Wednesday morning, more breaking news. Joe Thuney, welcome to Chicago. We did a full video breakdown from my house this morning. I was running around. I was already running a little late, taking PJ to daycare, had the car packed up, and then, get the notifications. So, went back inside, and we did a quick video, and now we're live. So we got you guys covered here on this channel. Nothing's ever going to change in that regard. So appreciate everybody rocking and rolling with us. Shout out for producer Colin getting the live show ready to go. We already got a big super chat from Jacob Monley. And by the way, we'll make a deal today. Helmet Hall of Fame in the other room. All $50 super chats going to get a sticker. So Colin, if you want to kind of keep note of who all does that. We'll rip some beer bongs if it gets crazy. We're having fun here. Jacob with the 50 says, do we entertain drafting Ashton Jeanty at 10? I'd hate to do that to Swift, but I think Jeanty would pair very well with Caleb. Bear down. It's all coming together. Well, I don't think you have to view it as hate to do that to Swift. One, you don't owe anybody anything. You do what you think is best for the team. And two, I think they want to pair somebody with DeAndre Swift. So my quick answer is yes. I think Ashton Jeanty is absolutely in play. I felt that way throughout the Combine. I tweeted this during the Combine. I think it is very clear the Bears really like Ashton Jeanty. I think he is someone they would heavily consider at 10. He's the first top 30 visit that was announced, and it was during the Combine. Combine hadn't even ended, and they were like, yeah, we're bringing him in for a top 30. So, I think Jeanty's in play. I'm going to do a fresh mock draft later this afternoon following these two trades for Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney. And Jeanty at 10 is very much something I would consider. And, Colin, this is what we talked about. If you address offensive line, we kind of just said free agency, but trades, whatever. Going into the draft, you want to be as flexible as possible, especially with that first pick. You want to feel like you could take BPA. And when you add two starting guards right off the rip, especially Thuney, an All-Pro this year, by the way, 4-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ, a guy who can be a leader in the room, which I think is the most important part of this. They need somebody to take lead of that offensive line room. Now you've got a lot of flexibility on what you do in the draft, especially if you add a center in free agency. Colin's getting the mic going.
There we go.
There he is.
There we go. Gotta go check the old mute button every once in a while. Obviously huge news for the Bears. You get Joe Thuney, who I still think's got a lot of great football ahead of him. You now secure your two guard positions ahead of free agency, even before you get to the draft. So that kind of drastically changes things. And look, I'm all in on Thuney in terms of Ashton Jeanty. He's in play for the Bears, no doubt about it. Obviously, if you go out and sign Andrew Dahlman, or however you want to do, maybe they sign Ryan Kelly, however they approach. Maybe they make another trade. Who knows? But
that would surprise me. But hey, didn't see this one coming either. So who knows?
Who knows? And if you add Ashton Jeanty to this offense, if Ben Johnson really is making the push, we've already seen Jeanty, been inquired by the Bears to have an official top 30 visit. It would be pretty electric. I'm not gonna lie. Him and Caleb Williams in the backfield.
You mentioned Ben Johnson. Doesn't it feel like his fingerprints are already all over what the Bears are doing? It's like, yes. I had a big-time offensive line in Detroit. This O-line kind of stinks. We got to make moves. And by the way, you give up a 6th for a guy he worked side-by-side with for 4 years in Detroit, and Jonah Jackson. Tough year last year. He's had some injury things, but I think that's a calculated swing. And then Joe Thuney, who, yes, he's 32, he was an All-Pro this year. And by the way, in a pinch, he could play left tackle if you need him to. Now, you're not trading for him to be your left tackle, but if he has to give you snaps there, he can do that as well. So I think this is a big-time move. I think Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles are in sync with what they're trying to do and what they're trying to build, and we got a lot more reaction to go here. So rock with us. Fire in those Super Chats. We'll get as many of them, or we'll get all Super Chats on screen. We'll try to get to some #Bears questions on screen as well. But shout out to Rocket Money. Rocket Money is the place to go if you're looking to scale back on your spending. The Bears don't need to scale back. They need to spend. But, hey, they're a billion-dollar corporation. You know, most of us common folks, we got to be careful on what we're spending our money on, and especially if you're like me with the house mortgage, with daycare for a 2-year-old, and a bunch of other expenses I have. You got to pick and choose what you're willing to spend on, and Rocket Money is going to help you do just that. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Most Americans think they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions, but get this, the real number is closer to $300. That is literally thousands of dollars per year, half of which we've probably forgotten about. Streaming services that you signed up a free trial for, don't use anymore. Maybe an online newspaper you once read, now you don't. Maybe you doubled up on subscriptions. My wife and I found that out when we got going with Rocket Money. We each had a couple of streaming services when we only need one because we're married and live in the same house. So listen, get started with Rocket Money today. Cancel those subscriptions you don't want with just a clicking of a few buttons, and other benefits as well, just normal banking things. You can lower certain bills by uploading your bill, and they will try to find better competitive offers for you. Tons of awesome benefits, credit score in real time. RocketMoney.com/Bears now. That is the place to download the app today. Optimize your finances right now. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to RocketMoney.com/Bears now, where you can save up to $740 per year if you are a member. Okay, let's get to this. Should the Bears draft Ashton Jeanty? Yes or no? Do you want to draft Ashton Jeanty? And I do want to say this, and I think you're with me on this, Colin. This does not mean, even if you add a center and you feel like your starting five is set for this year, number one, Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney, they are in the final year of their current contracts as it sits right now. So, Jackson has another year, but there's an opt-out after this year if they want to get out of it. Braxton Jones is in the final year of his rookie contract, and he's coming off an injury. This does not preclude you from going Will Campbell, from going Armand Mimbu. So I want to make that clear. But again, it gives you the option. If you want to say, hey, we like the round 2 O-lineman, because I still think you need to draft at least one lineman in the first 3 rounds, you could go Jeanty at 10. You could go Tyler Warren at 10 if you want to have a real good time. We talked yesterday about the idea of trading for Michael Mayer. Ben Johnson ran the 3rd most 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets in the league last year. So, again, it gives you those options. But what do you guys think about Ashton Jeanty? Max says yes. Donald also says yes. King Shun. Kenny says no. David says no. Inna says yes. Drew says yes. I'm hesitant, but yes from Bum of Wall Street. Dan says no, you're a 5-win team. You don't think Ashton Jeanty behind an improved offensive line helps you win more games?
Ashton Jeanty's a winning football player.
I think that guy's going to help you a lot. Daniel says no. Grover says no. Someone says no if the Cowboys offer 12 and 44. I mean, yes, if Dallas offered me 12 and 44 to move up 2 spots, I'd probably do that. Even if I lost Jeanty, I would probably take that deal. But this to me, this should always be the approach. Be flexible entering the draft. You never want to pigeonhole yourself. We have to take an offensive lineman. We have to take a corner. You don't want to do that. You want to be flexible, and I think the Bears are in a spot now that they're pretty close to being pretty flexible with what they do. They could trade down and take a defensive lineman. If Mason Graham's there, pull the trigger on that. Like, you've got a lot of options now in that first round at that number 10 selection.
100%. And, I mean, we'll get into more of, the Drew Dahlman stuff later, but to me, Jeanty can go as high as 6 in this draft. I think the Las Vegas Raiders will have serious conversations about taking Jeanty.
Especially with Pete Carroll's philosophy.
Yes.
Run the ball, play defense.
Yes. The old Pete Carroll. No, listen, I really do think that if Jeanty's on the board, you have to at least kind of think about it. And again, we haven't even started free agency yet. So, like, there's still so many more moves that could be and I think will be made by the Bears to where, like, I mean, Genty's 100% in the Bears conversations right now. I'm leaning more and more towards, like, being open to drafting Genty if you truly believe he is which a lot of people do, the best running back in this class. And if he's able to transform this offense, especially with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, I don't know, man.
I'm more than open. I can't say for sure, like, he's the number one guy I'd take at 10, but I've come a long way in the last couple weeks.
Yeah. I've come a long way in the last couple days.
This was before they signed these two or got these two guys. I was like, if you fill a couple needs on up front, this guy, it takes the pressure off the quarterback, which Ben Johnson has mentioned multiple times. So by the way, if you're Caleb Williams, I mean, you got to be just fired up.
Oh, 100%.
Like, you get an all-pro guard that is going to be a team captain on this team, I would imagine. You get another guard who, at minimum, you would think is an upgrade over the Matt Pryor, all the other rotation guys. And I've said it, Matt Pryor, I'd bring him back. Like, I think he'd be a good depth piece. But I think if you're Caleb Williams this morning, you're like, yeah, this franchise, they're not messing around. Like, we're trying to make moves. And by the way, try to win now.
Yep.
You don't bring in Joe Thuney at 32 to, like, build for the future.
No,
like, yeah, you want to stay flexible for the future, but you think you can make the playoffs this year. That's what this type of move is. So I think it's a big time move. Okay, we'll sprint through some super chats here. Keep firing them in. Give us your takes on this trade. Ask questions, etc. Chicago Legend with the 2. What is the cap if we extend Thuney and Gordon? Oh, Kyler Gordon. It all depends on how they structure it. With Thuney, it would certainly lower his cap hit this year, in almost all certainty, because he's set to make or count $16 million against the Bears this year, I believe. So, if you give him, I don't know, Colin, would you give him like a 2? I said on my reaction, I'd offer him 2 for 30, and I'd probably be willing to go up 2 for 40, because that's top of the guard market. He's a little bit older. I don't think you just break the bank and reset the market, but on a 2-year deal, that's probably more like a 1+1. 2 for 40, 25 guaranteed or something like that. I would do that. Maybe add 1 void year to lower a couple of the cap hits. I think that's an option. Kyler Gordon, it could save you a couple $1 million, but I think that one you'd probably try to spread it out evenly to remain flexible long term. But it really just comes down to how they want to structure it. If they want to lower cap hits in the near future, they can. If they want to kind of have it be a flat rate moving forward as the cap goes up, they can do that as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's about the number that I would expect the Bears to offer Thuney. And listen, with Caleb Williams still being on his rookie deal, and with the cap space you already had coming into free agency, especially after the moves of cutting Gerald Everett and DeMarcus Walker, I'd be willing to give him a pretty hefty penny just to make sure that he's kind of your left guard of the future. Obviously, we can actually pull up Bears offensive line here. Just to kind of see how it looks, because future-wise, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they attack, free agency, right? Because now you have your 2 guards. You have Coleman Shelton, which we all expect the Bears to upgrade at center. We'll see what they do at left tackle with Braxton Jones.
I do want to mention, not to cut you off, a couple things. One, we don't know for sure where each guard's going to play, because Jackson and Thuney have both primarily played left guard. I think they can both move around.
Yep.
To me, I would keep Thuney at left guard because he's your all-pro, and that's next to your weaker tackle.
Yes.
So I like that. Jackson, more of a mauler. Put him next to another mauler and Darnell Wright. You can run behind those guys all day. That's what I would do. I do want to mention this. If Dahlman, we can kind of shift to center a little bit here.
Yep.
If Dahlman gets priced out, and you're already seeing some chatter, maybe he's getting too expensive for the Bears' comfort, guy who's a good player but not an all-pro by any means.
Yep.
I would not rule out a 1-year cheap deal to bring Coleman Shelton back, and then you draft someone. Like, Shelton's a placeholder until the draft. Worst case scenario, he's a starter again. Because if you have 2 much better guards next to him, I think you can live with that for 1 year. But ideally, if you sign him, then you draft a center, whether it's Gray Zabel, whether it's Jared Wilson out of Georgia.
Yep.
Now, I'd rather, if you want to go with placeholder, go with like Ryan Kelly, because he's done it longer at a higher level. But I would not completely dismiss going with a placeholder free agent at center and then drafting someone to develop behind him. now that you've gone aggressive here at guard. What do you guys think? Will the Bears sign Drew Dahlman? Y for yes, N for no. Colin and I kind of disagreed off air. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I don't think they will now. I think he's going to get too expensive. There's Twitter whispers he could get $18+ million per year. I could see the Bears saying, do we really want to pay Creed Humphrey money for Drew Dahlman? A good player, but a guy who has flaws as well. They might say, you know what, we're not going to go that route. I could see that being the case.
No, I mean, and just for clarity, I'm not willing to completely just, no matter what it takes, sign Drew Dahlman, no matter the cost. But I do think, the Bears clearly came into this offseason. Poles said it, and I think Ben Johnson's philosophy, as we talked about earlier, Harry, like it's being kind of into effect here. I think they're going to continue to be aggressive in terms of rebuilding this offensive line. And, yes, they've upgraded now at guard, but now you still look at left tackle, which I think even the biggest Braxton Jones defenders would realize, like, hey, he's not perfect. So they're probably going to look to either add some competition there. And then at center, Drew Dahlman is clearly by far the best free agent, not only center available, but really best interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
He's still young. I think he's, 26?
He's 27. Yeah.
27 years old. Like, if you're Ben Johnson, you lock up the center position, somebody that you can build chemistry with Caleb Williams for the long term. And you could also draft a center potentially in day 3 as well, and go that route. I think the Bears are more likely to really just fix this offensive line all in one offseason. And then with 10th overall, either you get an Ashton Jeanty to really supercharge the offense, or you maybe target edge or interior defensive linemen to then potentially build that defense around, what Dennis Allen likes to do and everything in that.
I will say another option at 10, if they, assuming Mason Graham's off the board, let's say Jeanty and Mason Graham and at least one of Will Campbell or Mimbu are off the board. Yeah. Maybe both. I mean, that's all possible. Yep. I don't hate the idea of trading back, if you can. It takes two to tango for a pass rusher. Because I don't love the edges at 10. Like, to me, that's a little rich for a Shamar Stewart. Like, I get he's, like, prototype. Like, I'd rather take him, though, like, in the teens. But, like, maybe you trade down, you get a Michael Williams. Or you get a Mike Green. Or, I'd be open to taking Stewart in a trade-down scenario. I don't think there's an edge, unless Abdul Carter fell to 10, that I love at 10 in this draft. I like them more starting in, like, the mid-teens to the 20s. Yeah. Is that fair? Like, Mike Green is the one guy, but I don't know if he's, like, an ideal fit with what Dennis Allen likes. Like, if they were running a 3-4, I would take him at 10, assuming the sexual assault thing. Teams are going to have to look into that, obviously. Right. But if that checks out, I think he's the best pure pass-rushing edge after Carter in this draft. But he's like 8th percentile in arm length. Like, is Dennis Allen willing to bend kind of what he likes prototypically for a player like that? If he thinks he's special, maybe he is. But if not, the next crop of guys, the Michaels, the Shamar Stewarts, etc., I'd rather trade down for one of those guys.
Yeah, and again, we'll kind of keep waiting and seeing how this draft process, folds through. But I mean, again, Shamar Stewart is getting a lot of buzz to go top 10. And I'm not saying, again, the Bears will draft him. He's a very traits over production type of player. But
if he hits, he could be unreal.
He could be. He really could. I mean, scored one of the highest RAS scores, in fact, the highest RAS score, along with Nick Emanwari at the NFL Scouting Combine. So I'm just saying, like, all options, like you're saying, keeping yourself flexible. Maybe they wait and see if, a Will Campbell falls to them at 10, or if Ashton Jeanty falls, or I don't think Carter's going to fall, but, maybe there is a defensive lineman that they like in that 10 range. We're not in those meetings. We don't know. We can only speculate. But I just think Drew Dahlman, unless they really like one of these centers, which it could be Jared Wilson, or maybe they like Ray Zabel trading back into the first round. I just think if center is such an important part of building an offensive unit, and the Bears, you've listed it how many times, like these centers that they've gone through.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a priority for Ben Johnson. He's going to recognize that and say, listen, we're going to lock down this position. We're going to get a guy, even though you're going to have to overpay for him. It is free agency and everything. With the cap number going up, it won't look as bad longer into the contract, and I think they're going to lock down that position.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting who that player is, because Drew Dahlman's more of a wide zone center, and Ben Johnson, he runs some of that. He runs a lot of gap, too. And, like, Jonah Jackson, more of a gap guard. Joe Thuney, coming from that Chiefs system, I think he's a plug-and-play in any system guy. But, like, I wonder if they're kind of tipping their hand of, like, we might be running more gap here. So can Drew Dahlman excel in a gap scheme? I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how it all ends up playing out. Josh Myers, by the way, a couple of you guys asking in the chat from the Packers, he hasn't been a great player, but you could get him for cheap. He is 6'5", 310, so he is a bigger center. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if he'd be like the 1 year type of guy, and then you draft somebody. So it'll be interesting. I think again, they have options. Like that's the beauty of getting a Joe Thuney. Like he just elevates the whole room. You know who's going to benefit from Joe Thuney? Darnell Wright. Yeah. Like Darnell Wright's been a good player. He's improved since he's been in here. A lot of tackles take off in year 3. I think Joe Thuney can get in his ear and just really show him how to be a great player in this league. Like, the difference between good and great, Joe Thuney knows what that takes. Yep. Like, Darnell Wright has all the tools to be an all-pro right tackle in the NFL. He's been a good player. I think Thuney, bringing him in here, really could elevate Darnell Wright into the next phase of his career. So that's pretty exciting as well. Okay, some more super chats here. Bears goated. Now I want Ashton Jeanty. It's going to be a big talking point over the next 6 weeks. Yeah. Ashton Jeanty to the Bears. There's going to be a lot of buzz for that for sure. When it comes to Ashton Jeanty, as my screen just went black.
Yep, mine did too. So
we're back.
We're back.
We're back. Who's back of the week, baby?
Yeah, this studio.
Did it go black for you guys?
Yes.
Why for yes?
For y'all. Oh, I hope.
I want to know in the chat. Did the screen go black? I don't think it did. I think we're good. All right. Yes, Ashton Jeanty is going to be in the mix. Andres with the 2. Seems like Jeanty is back on the menu. I think he got. You know what, too, Colin? Here's another thought. What if they fell in love with Jeanty at the combine and they were like, we got to go be aggressive on the offensive line before free agency to at least make that a reasonable option? Because if the draft was before free agency and you hadn't made these trades just in that hypothetical world, I don't think you could draft Jeanty at 10. You would just have too many needs. But now that you've made these 2 trades and there's still free agency, Jeanty, I think, got on the menu at the combine, and now with these acquisitions, he is, I don't know if he's front and center, but he's on the Mount Rushmore of options for the Bears at 10.
100%. And, I mean, you know, given everything that's happened over the last however many hours, he may be number 1 on that list.
Someone says we don't need Jeanty, BPA. Guys, he's one of the 5 best players in this draft.
Yeah.
So if he's there at 10, that might be BPA.
I was about to say,
he's the definition of BPA.
Literally. Yeah. No, I mean, even if you're not a biggest running back believer in value.
Positional value, I get all that. But if you're just talking pure player in the draft, he is one of the 5 best.
100%.
He is one of the 5 best. Trace Moustakis, our guy Moose, put on the brand new Bears. Hey, dudes, this AM knew we were in for big news.
He actually
Let's go.
Can confirm.
Let's go, Moose. Bear down. Appreciate it. We got Bears goated. Imagine this. We've got both our guards now. Then we signed Dahlman, signed Mag. Then if Mason Graham falls at 10, we get him. See, I'm glad you brought Khalil Mack up. Are you going to be able to pay big money to Dahlman and Mack? You do have the money for it, but they still are going to want to remain flexible beyond this year as well in terms of having money in the offseason. I wonder, again, if they pivot to a cheaper free agent center with the intentions of drafting one, and then they throw their last big contract they throw out in free agency is for a pass rusher, whether it's Khalil Mack, Josh Sweat, Chase Young, etc. Because, guys, the defensive line needs work. Like, O-line, clearly the priority. Bears have recognized that. That's great. The D-line, other than Montez Sweat, has a bunch of question marks. I like Andrew Billings. He had a major injury last year, 1 year left in his contract. We don't know what he is long-term. I like Javon Dexter. He's solid, but it's not like you're just sprinting to sign him to an extension after next year. Like, he's still a little bit of ways from that. So I could see them pivoting to throwing money at a pass rusher here. What's that?
I'll
What's
answer
that
this.
look?
Well, we got a Packers report by Chat Sports in our chat.
Oh, get the FGBs in the chat. I told you guys that Chat Sports was launching a Packers report or a channel. I almost went on strike, but they were able to prevent me from doing that. Get the FGBs in the chat,
baby.
Get those guys out.
What are we doing?
Here. Dark Cobra, Harley, Charles, Malcolm, Kiss My Butt Kiss, great name. Brian, Terrell, Dark Cobra, Luis, Mr. Blonde, Terry. Drown out these Packers frauds. Let's go.
Unbelievable.
All right, Bears goated. Imagine this. Oh, we already got this.
So, I'll add to this. Mac, to me, I think is honestly a realistic option if he is not brought back by the Chargers. And then, man, Mason Graham. Along that defensive line, can you imagine a Bears?
If he's there at 10, even if I fall in love with the Jinty scenario, I think I have to take Mason Graham.
Dude, he's like top 3. Like we talk about Jinty being top 5, he's top 3, baby.
Is he that third guy after Hunter and Carter?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
For me,
I would probably go Hunter, Carter, one of Jinty or Graham, one of Jinty and Tyler Warren.
Yeah. Tedder McMillan and Will Johnson probably after those guys.
Tat McMillan, yeah. You know what though? I'd probably go Will Campbell and Mimbu.
Oh,
Campbell and Mimbu are in there for me. I think Campbell. Yeah. I'd still have Campbell higher, but I'd go Campbell, Mimbu right after, or right in there with Jinty and Tyler Warren, and then probably Tat McMillan is where I'd go next. Then maybe Will Johnson as well. Okay, Jacob, another 20. He's our MVP today, baby. Can we get my dude Khalil Mack attack back where he belongs? I knew he was in a different scheme when he was here before. I know he was in a different scheme, he said. But I hate how that ended, and I love Mack. Want him in a Bear as he's inducted. Yeah, to me, Khalil Mack is scheme-proof. He's big enough to play in a 4-3 or a 3-4. In some ways, I actually like the idea of him in a 4-3 at this stage in his career because when you're a 3-4 edge, you have to drop back into coverage every once in a while. That's rarely the case when you're a 4-3 edge. So, yeah, I like the idea of Mack. 1 to 2 year deal. Chris Emma mentioned earlier this week there's interest from his camp in a return. To me, you're bringing in a 32-year-old Joe Thuney. You're willing to bring in these vets. That's like Joe Thuney. He's going to be that vet for the offensive side of the ball that sets the tone. Khalil Mack could be that for the defense. So I definitely like the idea, and I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't give him 3 years north of $20 million, but 1 to 2 year deal. Even if it's an overpay, I would do that for Khalil Mack, especially if it's one of those 2 year deals where it's really like a 1+1, where it's say it's 2 for $40, but 25 guaranteed, where you can get out of it next year for $5 million dead cap or something like that. So,
yeah, agreed. Not overpaying, but again, somebody that I think the Bears should and could welcome back. Yeah, I'm in on this Khalil Mack move
for sure. Who do we got next here? Erica, do you think this means Jackson will play center? I mentioned that as a possibility. To me, I'm not doing that. Now, could it be a scenario where he's one of your starting guards and he's your backup center as well? Where if there's an injury in a game, he can go in there and play center? That's an option. He got some snaps at center this year with the Rams. Didn't look that good, to be honest, as a center, but you at least like that he can play center if you need him to. I'd be surprised if that was their plan. Now, Ben Johnson knows him well, so if he thinks he can play center, maybe that's the route they'll go. But, again, the beauty of these two moves is they can move around. Flexibility. The old cliche, get your best 5 out there. That is what bringing in these two players offers, because they can move around if they need to. But to me, I'm playing both these guys at guard in all likelihood.
Yeah, I don't think you invest the capital that you do. And again, Jonah Jackson, you're hoping that he returns to form. Obviously, before last season, he did, as you mentioned, Harry played really well in the Week 18 when the Rams were sitting a bunch of their starters and everything. But I don't think you try to readjust that trading for him. I think you try to lock down your guard position, and then we'll see what they do at center, potentially left tackle. But yeah, I think these moves were made thinking, oh, okay, we need to improve our guard play from last year.
Yeah. What would be interesting, and I doubt this happens now, but if they did sign Kevin Zeitler, that probably means Jackson's playing center, right? I don't think they're going the Zeitler route now, but if they did, I guess that would be a signal that they're playing Jonah Jackson at center.
Which, again, not out of the realm of possibility, but until that happens, who knows?
Yeah. Andres, another note, the left side of the Chiefs' O-line is kind of cooked. There's early chatter. They might put Sua Mataya at left guard, the guy they drafted last year, but they desperately need a left tackle. If I was the Chiefs, and then we'll move back to some Bears talk, if Ronnie Stanley hits the open market, I'm offering everything I have to get him. We saw it in the Super Bowl. As admirable as it was, Joe Thuney playing left tackle, that finally got exposed in the Super Bowl against some long, powerful defensive linemen. So, yeah, They got some issues up front. They got some issues. I do get it from their standpoint, though. Like, if they feel like they have to choose between Trey Smith or Joe Thuney, Tooney's the better player currently, but he is older. So I don't blame them for doing it. But, they need a left tackle in a major way.
100%. Agreed. Could be an interesting name. All right. We're going to get into more of the Super Chats here. Make sure you guys like the video. We got over 1,200
Hit that like button.
160 likes. Tell you what, Harry. We don't really have like a menu today because this is very impromptu live. I'm down to do $50 beer bongs today.
Next $50, we'll do a race?
Well, all right.
You want to do one for Jacob?
Well, yeah, I was just going to do one for Jacob. Again, we didn't promote it, but he did send in 50. We're going to get your name on the Bears Now helmet, Hall of Fame. And I'm just, hey, you know what? I'm feeling good. Oh, by the way, we're also drinking Coors Light today because we're out of Happy Dads at the studio.
Yeah, nothing like a little 1030 Coors Light, which I don't have one over here. So.
I can grab you one. Here. In fact, actually.
We got a race.
Yeah, we got. Well,
I know you're going to dust me, but
gotcha,
come on.
Brother.
You got to give me a chance.
Gotcha.
Come on.
I thought I was doing this solo. I didn't realize you were racing right now. All right, let's do it.
Oh, we're racing, baby.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Racing. Oh, man. I thought that thing was gonna what's the word? When you like shake up a beer and like
just kind of fizz over.
Fizz, yeah. My brain's not working. All right, count us down, Colin.
3, 2, 1, go. Nothing like a little water in the morning. Whew. There we go.
Whew. Man, I haven't had a warm Coors Light in a long time. That was something. I'm awake now. Brain is back and functioning.
There we go.
It's like the Shane Gillis, couple of beers.
Yeah, just a couple beers. Let's get things right. Dennis Chicago Kid, not my prediction, but this is all prep for Ginty. I'm not gonna lie.
I think if betting odds came out today, who are the Bears taking at 10? I think Ginty would be the favorite.
100%. Will Campbell would maybe be up there. Mason Graham if he falls. But
I think it'd be Ginty 1, Campbell, Mimbu is the next couple.
Yeah.
I don't know if Graham would even be on the odds because I still don't think he gets to 10. Ginty may not either. He may not. And if he doesn't, I also like a trade down scenario where you get extra capital and then maybe, you get a pass rusher in the first round and then you get like a Judkins in the second round or something like that. That could definitely be an option too. So.
Dennis, if you got an updated offseason plan after this move.
Oh, Dennis, DMs are open, baby.
I was about to say,
we're ready.
I'll read it on the show if you send me a DM because I know he puts a lot of effort into it. So
the best part about moves like this too is it just gives me so much more content ideas. It's like, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah,
we're back, baby.
We love it. We love it. Dustin.
Regardless, I think you have to go out and get either Mack or Young. If Graham slips, you take him. Trade up for Zabel as a center. I don't see him at 39. He's not. I think Zabel is as close to a lock first-round pick as you can be at this point. I think there's a better chance Zabel goes top 20 than he falls to 39. That's my prediction. I mean, he's a stud. Teams love him in interviews. He is going to go high. I agree on Graham. I think if he gets to 10, you take him. If not, I think Ginty, Campbell, Mimbu, one of those guys I'd be comfortable taking. Otherwise, you try to trade down. I think those are all in play. That's the beauty of making moves like this. It gives you flexibility. It gives you more options. David, re-sign Coleman Shelton, give him another shot. I'll be honest. I thought as the season went on, Shelton got better. I thought by the end of the year, it's like, okay, he's at least serviceable, which is better than what the Bears have. Obviously, we want better than serviceable. But again, I think there is an avenue, and Bears fans will freak out if this happens. I'd be okay with it if you re-sign him to a one-year deal and then draft a center. Because, you do want to enter the draft at worst case with a placeholder. And to me, Ryan Bates is not that. I just don't think he could be that. Coleman Shelton is that. He can at least be a placeholder. So I would not rule out a Coleman Shelton signing.
Yeah, he's not at the level of a Matt Pryor to me. But, if they were to, like you said, bring him back, hey, we have a center who played for us last year on the roster for this upcoming season. Okay. Because that's about what Coleman Shelton is. And he played at times better than expected, but I think you still have to upgrade.
Well, and think about this too. Yeah, again, you want to upgrade, but Joe Thuney playing next to him now.
Yes.
That's the thing about this Thuney move. He's gonna elevate people.
He will.
if he's playing next to Braxton Jones, he will elevate Braxton Jones. So, like, yeah, I think that's why this move is so significant. Other than just the player and the leader himself is fantastic. Lactera, he says, for those of you pounding the table for Genty, I'd still trade back. Take Hampton if you want a running back that bad. Walter Nolan or Mimbu. Yeah, look, I got no problem. Like, you can never have enough trenches players. Like, you still need more trenches players, especially on the D-line now. Still need some O-linemen as well. Mm-hmm. A trade back for Walter Nolan's interesting. There are some whispers that teams are out on Nolan, don't know what's going on there, so we'll see if more emerges there. Mimbu's a stud. I think he's gone by 10, if I'm being honest. If he gets to 10, great. He's definitely in consideration. I think the floor for him, Cullen, is the Niners at 11. I'd be shocked if he got past the 11th pick, but there's multiple mocks since the Combine that has him going to New England at 4. Because if teams view Will Campbell as a guard, Mimbu is clearly the best tackle then.
Right.
So he's going to go high.
No,
because he has good tape and he tested extraordinarily well.
No, he really did. And here, I'm just pulling up something from a previous show. No, I think Mimbu's definitely, with his combine and everything, he's one of the 4, right? And actually, we made this graphic. I'm just going to pull it up here.
The options at number 10.
Yeah, so the number...
This is why Cullen's best producer in the game, baby.
I mean, these are your guys, right?
This was before either of these trades. But, yeah, if you ended up with one of these players at 10, is anyone upset about it? I don't see how you could be. Mason Graham, stud defensive tackle. Will Campbell, Armand Mimbu, I think if separated is the best offensive lineman in this draft. And then Ashton Genty.
Yep.
Like, if you guys tell me in the chat, who do you want out of these 4 players at 10? Let me know. MG for Mason Graham, WC for Will Campbell, AM for Armand Mimbu, AJ for Ashton Genty.
Or if you want to rank them 1 through 4, too, in terms of your preferred options.
You guys give us your takes in the chat. Timothy, what about Courtney at center? What am I missing here, Timothy?
I'm not sure. He sent that chat in. Yeah.
Follow up in the chat, Timothy. You don't need to send another super chat because you sent in $20, so I want to answer this. Do you need Courtney Cronin, the Bears ESPN reporter? That's what someone speculates in the chat. Let me know, Timothy.
I'm about to say, I'm trying to scroll back to see if I can find maybe him correcting himself. I'm not seeing it in the chat. I don't know.
If someone can help Timothy out,
see,
that'd be great. All right,
Ramsey.
We'll keep an eye on the chat there. Ramsey, if you could sign Dahlman at center. Also, if you can keep your first pick this year, do you entertain trading for Myles Garrett even further? I think that's probably off the board at this point. I can't rule it out. They've already made 2 trades, but I'd be surprised. But I mean, you want to talk about all in, Thuney and Garrett in the same offseason in trades. That would this Thuney one doesn't shock me because the Chiefs, something was going to have to give.
Yeah.
Yes, they could have gotten there with restructures, but the Thuney thing was on my radar. I didn't do a video on it, but it was a thought that crossed my mind when they franchise tagged Trey Smith. The Garrett thing, I that would shock me.
It would.
Would it be epic? Yes, but it would shock me. It would shock me. So
very much so. Yeah, I would agree.
But you want to talk about content machine? If the Bears got Myles Garrett, buckle up. That's all I gotta say.
Buckle up, baby.
Paleo. If Genty and Campbell are gone at 10, is Gray Zabel at pick 2 rich? At pick 10 too rich. I like him. Bears seem to like him. Is 10 too early? Maybe trade down. I think it's too early.
I agree.
I saw Brett Coleman throw out top 15. I like Zabel a lot, but I do cringe a little. As bad as the Bears need a center, taking one at 10, it's just ugh.
Yeah.
That I'd rather trade down, even if it's just to 14 to take him, because at least I'm getting an extra pick. I think it's a little too rich. Because he is still coming from North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Now, he dominated the Senior Bowl against,
Yeah.
big-time SEC Big Ten competition. So, I clearly think he can play at this level. But 10, that feels rich. I'd rather trade back into the teens or 20s to try to get him.
Z Ganji Boy says Timothy Keaton said he meant Ryan Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, he literally just
Oh,
sent a
I
super
see it.
chat.
Ryan Kelly. Yeah, I think Kelly is. I'll put it this way: if Drew Dahlman is closer to 20 million and Kelly's around 10, I could see them going Kelly. 2 years, 20 million with like 11, 12 guaranteed, and then you draft a center.
I don't know. I
You're all in on
I'm
Dahlman, and
I'm
I like Dahlman, but like,
I just think
what's the cutoff for you
if
per year?
Because what's his projection, right? Like 4 years.
4 for 56, 14 a year. I'd still probably do that. I think he's getting more.
I think he will. If it gets to like 18,
like you doing,
like pushing.
I was gonna say you doing 4 for 72 for Dahlman, 50 guaranteed. That's Creed Humphrey.
I know.
To me, he's not. It'd be one thing if he was close to Creed Humphrey. I don't think he's close.
He's not.
I think he's a fringe top 10 center. He's a good player.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not paying. Like, and I don't want to be like, oh, Harrison, you're being cheap, but they have to improve the O-line. Guys, they just traded for Joe fucking Thuney. Yeah. Like, the Bears, like, to me, they've already, like, they've invested here. But, like, I do think something has to give. Like, you can't just write a blank check for a guy. This is, you know what this is? That would be, to me, that's like the Dolphins giving Tua 53 when you just don't have to. Or the Jags giving Trevor 55 when he has 2 years left in his rookie deal. I know it's different positions, all that stuff, but it's like you could just play it out. Like, you don't have to do that. So I don't know. I think 16 is my limit.
I'm about to say
4 for 64.
4 for 64.
35 guaranteed.
Yeah, I'll be nice. Give him 42 guaranteed. Get it done. Get it done,
man.
I'll raise the guarantees if he's willing to take.
I think I'd rather. I'll put this on record. I think I'd rather throw big money at a pass rusher.
That's fair.
After these two moves. If it's one or the other, I think I'm choosing a pass rusher.
I think that whenever we get done with when it's this time next week, because today is Wednesday, right? This time next week, Drew Dahlman will be a Chicago Bear.
Okay.
I'm making that prediction.
I like the prediction. Chicago legend, Genty at 10, Sawyer at 39, O-line 42, I think you meant 41, or Zabel trade up. Yeah, I mean, if you ended up with Genty, one of the Ohio State boys at edge, and then, like a Donovan Jackson or Ariante Ursery or, Jared Wilson, something like that, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that'd be pretty good.
Erica says, I don't see Dahlman leaving Atlanta. Well, there was a report that came out.
Today that he probably is.
Yeah. So
also, the guy who filled in for him last year wasn't as good, but he played at a starter level. And they kind of have some cap issues, so they're probably just going to roll with that guy. I forget the guy's name, but I do not think the Falcons are paying big for Dahlman. Like, they might see what the market is and then consider an offer, but I think Dahlman's leaving.
Fair.
Dev P, what's the reasoning behind trading for Jonah Jackson instead or re-signing Tevin Jenkins? Didn't Tevin play more snaps than Jonah last year? We got last year. And Jonah has had some minor injury concerns, but not to the level of Tevin. We outlined Tevin. Mm-hmm. He's played less than 50% of eligible snaps since he's entered the league. Jackson's had some injury things, but not to that level. And again, this is the reality of new staffs. Ben Johnson has worked with Jonah Jackson. He hasn't worked with Tevin Jenkins. And to be honest, this is going to be tough to hear. I don't think Tevin Jenkins wants to come back. I think he wants a fresh start. I think this has been a roller coaster, rocky ride for him since day one. They drafted him to play left tackle. Then he had a back issue. Then he played right tackle. Then that regime got fired. New regime, made him a backup initially. He wanted out, and then they worked it out. He played right guard. Hey, we appreciate you playing good at right guard. We're going to sign Nate Davis and move you to left guard. And then he's had a million injuries. Like, I just think sometimes for both sides, it just makes sense to break off. Mm-hmm. Like, I think both sides just need to move on. I think Tevin would benefit from it, and I think the Bears, they've already shown you, like, they have moved on. Like, there's not even a spot for Tevin now, unless you're playing Jackson at guard or at center. So, yeah, that it's over. The Notcast, are you still interested in Ronnie Stanley? I mean, I'm always interested in good players, but I don't think that's happening. One, I think Baltimore re-signs him. Two, I think when you trade for 2 guards that cost over $10 million per year, I don't think you're then going to go throw $20, $25 million at Ronnie Stanley. I just don't think that's happening. So,
yeah.
Also, Ryan Poles mentioned competition at left tackle. That's not competition. That's, hey, you're our starter. We're going to trade or make Braxton Jones a backup.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I think it's more likely they draft a potential left tackle than, sign a Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah. I don't think if Stanley gets away from the Ravens, I think it's like the Patriots throw insane money at him or the Chiefs get him because they need a left tackle. That would be my guess. Emiliano would have loved the younger combo of Smith and Campbell, but this is great as well. First of all, Campbell's not out of play. They could absolutely still draft him. He could be competition at left tackle for Jones, and they could still play him there. Obviously, the arm length is a thing, but I think he is athletic enough to overcome it if they want to try it at left tackle. So that's still in play. Truly believe Genty is in play, but I'd get a D lineman like Graham. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think I'm trading up for Mason Graham, but if he falls into your lap at 10, that feels almost like a sprint to the podium situation. Genty is absolutely in play, as is Will Campbell. Will Campbell, everyone that talks about this guy that's in the know, he could be like a future Joe Thuney in the sense of like he can command a room. This guy started at left tackle at LSU as an 18-year-old freshman and never gave the job away. And I was listening to a podcast the other day. I don't know if you know who Nate Tice is, Colin. Hogan John's
Great
another
follow.
Bears podcast. They do great work. They had him on. They said he was setting some protections at LSU as a tackle. He said he's never seen it at the collegiate level, where a tackle is setting protections for Garrett Nussmeier. So, that's pretty telling. He is still a guy I would absolutely consider if he's there at 10.
100%. Fun fact, Garrett Nussmeier, local legend from around here. Went to me and Coops High School, believe it or not. But
he went to Marcus?
He did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of
future Saint.
honestly. I think honestly though, Campbell's still in play. If Mason Graham's there, that's tempting.
Yeah.
That's very tempting.
Again, you got options.
I know he saw it off and everything, but he's a hell of a defensive tackle.
You got options.
Joel
Gordees. During Dan Rushar's time with the Saints, Drew Brees was quarterback. Drew was 6 foot, Caleb 6'1". Dahlman being a shorter center is great for Caleb. Rushar has say. Yeah, Rushar will absolutely have say. It's an interesting point. Dahlman being a shorter center, so all these things come into play for sure, especially when attacking the middle of the field. I don't think Caleb at 6'1" is like, this isn't a Kyler Murray situation, but, there are obviously some situations where, having a 6'3" center versus a 6'6" center would benefit for maybe a couple plays a game, but I think you just get the center that best fits the scheme. I think that's what you're trying to do. Timothy, I met Ryan Kelly. Voice typing sucks. Ryan Kelly to Courtney. What a let's get a little better here. Voice to text. Come on. Alex Ammerling. I love it. Protection for Caleb. More flexibility for the draft. Exactly. Got to protect the quarterback, which Poles and Johnson said they were going to be aggressive doing. Check. And you want to be flexible entering the draft and free agency now.
Great.
So good stuff. Tito. Love this, but now if they get Dahlman, are they picking Genty at 10? Defense 39-41, that's looking like the move. I still think, regardless of what they do in free agency, they're drafting an O-lineman with, at minimum, one of their first 4 picks, but I still think one of their first 3. It's a good O-line class. You don't have the, who was the Notre Dame kid last year? You don't have the Joe Alts in this draft, but you have, 10 players. Round 1, round 2 guys that are, I think, starters in this league. I would still like to get one of them. So even if, your starting O-line is set after free agency, I still think drafting one, even in the first round, is very much in play. So I think that's very much a possibility.
100%. I'm loading up the link to get more questions, but if you haven't already, if you like what the Bears have done so far,
hit that like button.
Like that video. I'll get y'all's super chats on screen here in a second. Oh,
I'll tell you what, little special. Next $20 super chat, I'm doing another beer bong.
Ooh.
That felt good.
Felt good?
Felt good.
I know. Now I got the Coors. I kind of just...
We're back.
Want to do... Maybe
it's a little teaser for free agency on Monday.
There we go.
We'll be having some fun. We'll be doing some raffles and giveaways and whatnot. So
all that good stuff. Yeah, we can make it a race at 20 if you want.
All right.
Make it a little race.
$20 race. What a steal.
I know. You don't only get these kind of deals on Bears Now.
Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. We're here rocking on a Wednesday morning after the Bears trade for Joe Thuney. If you're just joining us, 2026 4th-round pick to the Chiefs for Thuney. So, very good value. Let's get to 118,000 subs ASAP.
Yeah, can we do that?
118,000 subs ASAP.
Hit that sub button.
Let's go. Tell a friend. Subscribe. We're rocking. We're rolling with you.
There we go.
Let's do it. Willie, thoughts on taking Dante Thornton in the later rounds? I don't know where he's going to go, but if you told me you got him in like the 5th or 6th round, technically they don't have a 6th right now, but I'd take a swing. 6'5", 4.3 flat in the 40. I mean, that feels like a worthwhile pick on day 3. I mean, those Tennessee receivers, Colin, are typically pretty limited. They run go routes and like bubbles and stuff. Like, you're not going to get the full route tree, but if a guy like that is like your 4th receiver and can play on special teams, run some go routes for you, maybe you hit a couple throughout the course of a season, hey, I'm down. I mean, a guy at that size with that straight line speed is pretty rare.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, when you're drafting guys in day 3, you're, like you said, you're hoping they're contributors, and, a guy with 4.3 speed, you can't teach that.
No, especially at 6'5".
Yeah.
I mean, that is unique. That is unique. We got Wes here. Bears should push for one of the Buckeye running backs. Yeah,
Judkins,
Colin and I are on the Judkins train for sure. I like Travion. I don't think I like him for this team because to me, him and Swift's games overlap too much. They both don't have great vision. They're both really good pass catchers. They're both explosive. I think if you're keeping Swift, if he's in your plans, out of those two guys, you would take Judkins for sure.
100%.
Better in between the tackles, better vision, still explosive, 4.48 in the 40. So, yeah, I think out of those two guys, Judkins is the guy I would go with.
Yeah. And then so Darian came in.
Appreciate the deuce.
He also
said, how do we feel about Jalen Noel? Love Jalen Noel.
Yeah.
He had a great combine.
He did.
Can you get it? Is there a chance he falls to 72?
So, Colin's crush tomorrow, we're talking about the wide receiver position. He may be in consideration.
Okay.
He may be in consideration.
I'm a big Jalen. I like both Iowa State receivers.
I do too.
But if you're trying to find someone to put in the slot, I think Noel fit. The other guy, what's his name? Jaden Higgins?
Higgins, yeah.
I think he's more of a boundary receiver, which you could go. I mean, who knows? Maybe Ben Johnson plays DJ Moore and or Rome Odunze in the slot. Rome can move around, so can DJ. So you certainly like guys that can play multiple receiver positions. And I think Noel can give you enough juice on the outside as well where he can move around, but I do think he'd play a lot of slot in the NFL. The Notcast, take Ashton at 10. O-line class is stacked next year. Yeah, I mean, Ashton at 10 and still grabbing a guy in round 2 or trading back into round 1 for a Gray Zabel or a Donovan Jackson, you could go that route. So, yeah, I think Genty, if you ask me today, who do I think is most likely to be the pick at 10, I would say Ashton Genty. I don't think it's like a 90% chance, but like if you're filling out the pie chart and there's like 6 or 7 guys in consideration, I think he would be the biggest piece of pie.
I would agree.
As of today.
Agreed.
Things can obviously change, and they will, over the next, 7 weeks until the draft, however long it is. Free agency next week, that could impact things. So
good.
No question. Cornelius, if Campbell falls to 10, do we put him at center? I'll tell you what, Brugler has mentioned him as a guy who could play center. And what did we just talk about the Nate Tice thing? He was setting protections as a tackle in college. Yep. So could it be a situation where he plays center as a rookie, and then if you want to get more value out of him, you move him? Like, you could do that. I still don't love the idea of taking a center at 10, but like, if you think this guy with his ability could be like an all-pro, like that's obviously the exception. So wouldn't completely dismiss it. Even if he did that, I don't know if he'd be your long-term center, but it would be interesting. It would be very interesting. I think he's got the middle capacity to step in as a rookie and play center.
Yeah.
I do think he's capable of it. Let's see. Erica, would you cut Byard and try to get Javon Holland? I don't think so. The only way I would do that is if Holland's price like came down in the first day or two in free agency, and like you caught wind, you could get him for like $10 million. Well, if you cut Byard, you're saving $7 million. So you're basically only adding $3 million to your books for a younger, better player. I didn't think Holland played that well last year, but I still think he's a good young player. But that's the only way I can do it. Most people think Colony's getting 15 plus, so yeah, I'm not in that business.
I'm not paying for that. Just draft polls. Just draft Makuba at 72.
I actually do love that. First 3 picks: O lineman, D lineman, running back. Makuba at 72. We pop champagne here on Bears Now.
Oh, we're celebrating. I'm calling my shot now. If they draft Andrew Makuba at 72, oh, we're going crazy. We're going crazy.
All right, Wasim wants us to go crazy. Here we go.
Let's go.
Shout out Wasim Khan. He says FGB. Get the FGBs in the chat.
Get the FGBs, baby.
Get the FGBs in the chat.
Here we go.
Another warm Coors Light going down the hatchet, baby. This is what we live for.
That's what we are here about. Hey, like you said, this is a pregame for free agency.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah, we're building that tolerance back up. I haven't been drinking much the past couple of months.
It's the off season. I'm trying to, keep it slim down here. But on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when we're live. We're letting it rip.
We're cutting it loose.
We're letting it rip.
All right.
Shout out to Wasim.
3, 2, 1, go.
Whew. Like I said, that Coors, man.
It's something.
It's something, man.
Shout out Wasim.
There we go. Shout out to Wasim, man. Absolute legend here at Bears Now. We got M. Xavier says, I will say trade back and get Hampton. I like Hampton, man. It'd be weird if the Bears were to trade back and still somehow get Hampton at good value while potentially looking at other. Because let's say, okay, hypothetical here. Genty's off the board, and so is Will Campbell, Mason Graham. Because I presented this possibility to you, what was it, last live show, where like a bunch of the guys, like Mimbo's gone, Genty, like all 4 of your guys are gone.
Yep.
You decide to trade back. Even if you decide to trade back, depending on the draft compensation, like, are you taking a Marion Hampton? Like, at what?
I think it depends how far back you move. Mm-hmm. Like, if you move back to like 14, I'm probably not taking him at 14. But if you move back to like 20, I'd take him at 20. I think Hampton is a top 20, 25 player in this draft.
Yeah, he's a first round.
I think he's a clear RB2. I think in a lot of last year's draft, he's easily the best back, in my opinion. I mean, Jonathan Brooks, wasn't he the first back taken? He was coming off an injury. Mm-hmm. Like, Hampton is a stud. So, like, if you traded back to, with like, say Denver comes up because they want Tyler Warren or something, and you trade back to 20 with them, I'd take Hampton at 20. Yep. And by the way, if you trade back that far, you might get a future first.
You might.
So, like, that's pretty appealing. So, I would definitely be open to that. By the way, I do want to hit this. Dan Wiederer, Chicago Tribune, says he wouldn't be surprised if the Bears work toward addressing some of their tight end holes depth with veteran Durham Smythe, released by the Dolphins last month. We mentioned that on a show. And since he was cut, you can sign him immediately. So, like, to me, if you get him, that's probably your tight end 3. He can block, catch checkdowns, because tight end and safety are positions I think that you're going to need some depth.
Yep.
And especially tight end. You have Cole Kmet and question marks. So if you get a Durham Smythe, be your tight end 3, be your blocking type, and then probably maybe add a guy in the draft, I think that would be pretty good.
Perhaps Mason Taylor. Just kidding. He's definitely a Dolphin. Terrence Ferguson, maybe if he doesn't, rise up as everyone's saying he is.
He'd be interesting. You think he sneaks into day 2, or do you think he's more like a 4th rounder?
He's a 4th round guy. Yeah. If someone takes him day 3, I mean, they are hugely just in love with the combine and the potential.
You mean day 2?
Excuse me, yes. Coors Light's hitting me different this morning. Yeah.
Nick Allegretti, who's on 670 The Score 30 minutes ago, former teammate of Joe Thuney. He's been with the Commanders the last couple of years, says Joe Thuney is one of the best guards in the league. He's been that way since probably his 3rd or 4th year in the league. Has not gotten the publicity of a Zach Martin or someone like that, but in terms of consistency, intelligence, and just his ability to adapt to new cultures, he's been a part of the 2 best cultures / dynasties you can think of in NFL history, so they're getting an incredible football player. That's part of this, too. it's not just the player. It's not what you're just getting on the field. This guy was a core piece to the end of the Patriots dynasty when he was a younger player. And then he became, what's the first thing the Chiefs did after they got trucked in the trenches by the Bucs? They went out and got Joe Thuney, and they won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is a cornerstone player, like Allegretti said, for the 2 best dynasties in NFL history. Like, that is, you can't just find that on the open market and in the draft. Like, it's just not available. So even if he's only here a couple years, like, the value that'll carry on for these young guys for years to come, I don't think you can measure it. I think it's invaluable. So that fires me up. Yeah. That fires me up.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest.
Just to show you guys real quick, this is what his stats were during the regular season last year.
And by the way, that's with him having to kick out the tackle for a few games at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He was still voted an All-Pro as a guard, despite having to kick out the tackle because the Chiefs had no answers at left tackle. I mean, this guy is one of the best guards of his generation.
100%.
I think the 2 guys that get more love in this era at guard are Zach Martin, who just retired, and then slightly younger Quentin Nelson.
Yep.
I think Joe Thuney is right there with those guys. I really do.
Agreed.
I don't think he's probably quite Zach Martin.
No,
but,
Zach Martin's.
But Zach Martin's a no doubt Hall of Famer. Thuney, with 3 rings, he could absolutely get there.
100%.
Tricky.
Maybe if he gets a 4th with Chicago.
That'd be fun. As much as I like Genty, I would be happy with Hampton and additional picks in a trade down. Yeah, again, options. Options. I don't know if the Bears would pass on Genty if he's there, but options. Dennis, if we draft O-line, who's getting benched? Jonah?
He's saying, he also added in his in the chat saying, assuming we get center. So, like, if they add a center and then they also took, I'm assuming you mean Will Campbell.
Well, I think there's a lot of different angles you can look at. One, maybe the rookie doesn't start right away. Do I love the idea of a number 10 pick not starting day one? No, but I think there's always exceptions. 2, we don't know Braxton Jones' timeline. He had a major leg injury. Like, it's questionable if he's ready for the start of training camp. So, like, if you get Mimbu or Will Campbell, that just might be the left tackle. Like,
maybe.
That's very much a possibility. So, I think it's, I'd be speculating right now, but I think these are all just, like, scenarios that could play out. And how many guys, these are offensive linemen, they get hurt. Like, typically these things play itself out. But, yeah, it's hard to answer that. Like, if everyone's healthy and Braxton looks good and they like him there, I would guess either Jonah or the rookie. I would guess the rookie week 1 probably starts on the bench. That would be my guess, but we'll have to wait and see. Adam Downing. Awesome news to start the day. Yes, sir. Let's go, Adam.
Phenomenal.
Shout out to everybody who tuned in for the instant reaction video as well.
Loctera. Is this a masterclass by polls to set up a trade between the Bears and free agency Thuney, first round, second round pick for Josh Dobbs? The rumors
are flying, Sammy. Sam, I want the Bears to draft Dobbs as like a veteran presence in the locker room just for you. Just for you. And actually, I wouldn't hate it just to be that like third string vet.
You mean sign, right?
Sign, yeah. He's a free agent, I think.
Yeah, well, you said draft. That's what
I was saying. Oh, yeah. Sign.
Yeah, no, honestly, if Josh Dobbs ever becomes a Bear, we might have to have Sam.
Sam Loctara might. I don't know what he'll do if the Bears end up getting Josh Dobbs. All right, something Sam would probably do is get a Josh Dobbs jersey because that's something he wants to spend his money on. But you got to pick and choose in life. Where do you want to scale back? Do you want to build your savings? I know I do, and I've been doing just that with Rocket Money, a personal finance app that can help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so you can grow your savings. One awesome benefit of Rocket Money is they can help lower certain bills by up to 20%. What you need to do is just upload your bill to the Rocket Money app, and they'll kind of look around for you. Like you might have to change providers for certain deals, but sometimes, hey, if you're paying $100 for your phone bill, they might find an offer where you're paying $80. Electric bill, same deal. So Pretty awesome stuff. They'll serve as the middleman. That way you don't have to deal with back and forth customer service. You can get rid of subscriptions you no longer want with just a few taps, as they'll show all of your subscriptions on one screen, and you'll realize how much per month you're spending, probably more than you're comfortable with. Trust me, I've been there with Rocket Money. Glad I got going with them because I'm saving tons of money, and that's what their goal is. They want to save you money. They have over 5 million users and have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions for their customers, saving members up to $740 per year when using all of the app's features. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Tons of other benefits as well with the app. rocketmoney.com/bearsnow. Link is in the live chat. Get going with Rocket Money. Got David here. Why is Ryan Bates still on the roster? I think there's no harm in keeping him for now. I would probably cut him, but like you still have like limited depth. Like a lot of your depth guys are free agents. If he's on the team as a backup, I don't have an issue. I think there is some value there. He can play guard. He can play center. I just don't want him as a starter. So he's been a polls guy. If he wants to keep him as a backup and a guy that can plug in case of injury, that's fine. I think you can probably do better, but if he's your 7th or 8th offensive lineman or something like that, I don't think that's an issue. One thing I will not like is if he's your placeholder center. Yeah. I don't think that's a good plan. Like I'd rather sign Coleman Shelton for $5 million than have Ryan Bates be the placeholder center. Say what you want about Coleman Shelton. He started all 17 games last year. Like there's value in that. So. Bates had a concussion that knocked him out for the end of the year. He had a shoulder issue. Like, to me, at best, he's a backup. So that's where I'm at with Bates.
Some FGB news. Packers kicker Mason Crosby retires.
Adios, Mason. We'll see ya.
Gotta love it. Emiliano, Graham, Sawyer, Judkins, Ratledge with your first 4 picks in 3 rounds. Perfect. We need another mock draft.
We will have a mock coming this afternoon. That'll probably go up on the channel 5, 6 o'clock, so be on the lookout for that. Ratledge tested much better than I thought. He's athletic, dude. I think at 72, that's an intriguing, like, he sits for 1 year, and then, like, if Jackson or Thuney isn't back the next year, he just plugs in, right? Like, I think that's what he can provide. I'd love to know if he could play center. If teams think he can, I think that increases his value. But yeah, if you told me that was the 4 players you ended up with, where do you think Jack Sawyer goes? His stock has been going down for whatever reason. He's not a great athlete.
No.
But he's a team captain. Like he's a raw. Like I think there's value in those type of guys. I think he can be like a second edge on a starting D line in the NFL. I don't think he's ever a top guy. No. But I think at worst he's a good rotation player. At best, he's like a high level starter as like a second guy.
I feel like Commanders could be interested in him. Maybe not, pick 29 or whatever, but if he potentially slips in the second round, that could be an option. Like any team that needs an edge on day 2, I think could be interested.
I think he's late first to like mid-late second. I think there's kind of a wide range there, like 30 to 60, somewhere in that chunk.
Range, yeah. By the way, on Ratledge, he played all 3 years at Georgia exclusively at guard, and specifically right guard.
Well, if Jonah Jackson's the right guard this year and you draft Ratledge, like if Jackson, even if he's good, but they want to save money next year, you could cut him and plug in Ratledge. Like that's certainly something you could do. Okay, we got Charlie. If they sign Drew Dahlman, would the Bears have a top 10 O-line unit? #Rocket Money. Well, I think we have to remember, even like throwing a bunch of names together, like it does take time, and that's something Ben Johnson mentioned. Like those 5 building chemistry, like it's going to take time. Like even if you have big time players, it doesn't happen overnight. So I do think if the Bears get a good center, like I think it's one of the more improved units on paper in the league, right? I mean, I think you go from a bottom 5-ish unit in the NFL to at minimum top half of the league on paper. Yeah. I think Darnell Wright is a very good tackle. I'm not going to call him an All-Pro, but I think he's a very good tackle. We know what Joe Thuney's about. He's an All-Pro caliber player. Braxton Jones is at least serviceable. Dahlman is at minimum top half center. And then if Jonah Jackson is at least average, then like if Jonah Jackson or Braxton Jones is your worst lineman, like they're both starting caliber players. So like that's That's much better than Braxton Jones being like your second best lineman.
Right.
So I think that's hashtag Rocket Money, by the way.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Rocket Money, great app. Here's the thing with Dahlman too. Like you mentioned it with him improving guys like Darnell Wright, Jonah Jackson, whoever plays there. Like he'll also improve Dahlman as well.
You mean Thuney improving?
Thuney improving
Yeah,
Dahlman,
yeah.
yes. To where again, if you want to say he's top 15, maybe. And again, the Falcons had a really good offensive line last year. I'm not saying he didn't have anything to work with, but like you said, you pair him up with Thuney right next to him, and again, Jonah Jackson, if he has a bounce back year, that's a really good core that you have there in the center of your offensive line. And when you ask any quarterback in the NFL where they hate to get pressured the most, it's straight up the middle.
Yep.
So you would lock that down for the foreseeable future.
Yep. Ban the Don.
Barry the Don.
Barry the Don. New studio. I'm having trouble here. If we can't get Genty, I would love Scattaboo. I like Scat. I like him more in the third round than the second. If he runs well at his pro day, though, he's probably going second round. Listen, workhorse. I think he checks a lot of boxes in the intangibles. Under recruited, had to go to Sacramento State. Arizona State was the only P5 offer he had in the transfer portal. Goes there, tears it up. There's a lot to like. I just like some other backs more. Like that's all. I think we talked about this on Monday, I think, Colin. I think he's somewhere in that RB5 to 8 in this draft. Because I think the top 4, at least for me, I think you're a little different on Caleb Johnson, but it's Genty, Hampton, Judkins, and Johnson are my top 4. I think Scat enters the conversation after that with Travion Henderson and Devin Neal and, insert a few other guys. I think Scattaboo's in that chunk for me.
Yeah.
But, I would like, if you told me they got him at 72, I'd be like, okay, I like that value. 39-41, I don't love it.
No.
Now, if he, I don't know, if the guy runs a 4.52 at his 40 or something, okay, maybe his long speed's better than I thought, but
maybe
that would surprise me.
Yeah, I'm not taking him before round 3. I'm just not. I'm honestly, to be honest, I'm curious to see how his game translates. And again, he did have better, numbers at the combine than
vertical and broad were pretty impressive for what I thought he would do.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't spend 72 on him. I'm not really interested.
Oh, really? You wouldn't even do 72?
I don't.
There are backs I like better. If you told me Devin Neal or Scattaboo, I would take Devin Neal.
To be honest, RJ Harvey and him's a coin.
Harvey,
Yeah.
I like Harvey a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he.
It sucks for him that this back class is really good.
Yeah.
Last year, hell, he might have been the second back taken.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, I don't love him in this kind of fit offense, to be honest. Especially you've talked about it all along. You want a home run hitter. He, to me, is the opposite of a home run hitter.
I don't think it has to be a home run hitter to pair with Swift because I think he gives you some of that. But I still want the guy to have some of that ability. I don't think Scat really has that. He could play 10 years in the NFL and his longest run could be 42 yards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So the one thing he does well, and I heard Trevor Sikkema talking about this the other day, he's really good at turning 3-yard runs into 4.5-yard runs. You know what Scattaboo is? He's a worse David Montgomery. And I love David Montgomery. That guy has an 81-yard touchdown on his resume. So he's got more juice to me than Scattaboo does. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing it incorrectly, but there's just guys I like better.
The more I just look on him, I think the Bears could go so many different options. I'm going to be honest. And, hey, if they do draft him 72, okay, they clearly value him, getting you in the red zone and, like you said, turning those little chunk runs into 5, 6, 7-yard carries. But, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's other options.
Yeah. The Notcast can't wait for 1920 drive this year in the draft room. Hopefully Papa Bear isn't as nervous as he was last year, chomping his gum and sweating bullets. Yeah, we'll see. Love 1920 drive, though. They do a great job with that. We got Getski. Bashal Tootin in round 2 or 3 would be solid value. You ready for it? You ready for a take?
Yeah, go for it.
I might like it better than Scattaboo.
Yeah, he's
explosive. I need to watch more tape on him.
Yeah, Me and Harry were texting during about it, and I mean, he obviously ran the lights off at the combine.
I think he was a sleeper entering the draft. I don't know if he is anymore.
No.
He helped him out himself out at the combine. He was a big part of that Virginia Tech offense. I think 39-41 is a little rich, but like if he's there at 72, I kind of like it.
Again, just another name.
What's his measure? What did he measure in at?
I'll let you look that up. Michael, trade down, add picks to make up for the 2 trades.
An option.
An option.
If you love a player at 10, you should take him, but it's an option. 5'9", 206. So I don't think he's like a workhorse, but 206 at 5'9", like that's, he's not I think he's more than a scat back. I wonder though, do they view him enough differently? God, I'll tell you, these testing 4.32, 40.5-inch vert, 10.10 in the broad. I don't want to get too obsessed with the combine stuff, but God, that's an explosive athlete right there.
Just keep your eyes out on LaQuinn Allen. He's another name that could potentially get thrown in there.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah, that is my guy.
He's your Devin Neal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Devin Neal guy.
Agreed.
Applesauce. Sign Drew Dahlman, and our O-line is going to cook. Certainly possible. I think there's a chance he gets priced out, but we'll see. Call the shot. He thinks they complete the trifecta with Drew Dahlman. So
I think it's going to happen.
We'll see. Bear down. If the Bears build O-line free agency, who do you think they would draft? Draft a DB at 10. I don't think DB's on the board at 10, unless Travis Hunter falls to 10. If Travis Hunter's on the board at 10, draft him, and you just figure out what you're doing later. You can trade Tyreek Stevenson, whatever you got to do. But unless that happens, I'm not taking Will Johnson at 10. I like there's some good safety. I don't think I'm taking Barron at 10, although he's a fun player. Nick Inouye's a fun player, but I don't think I'm taking those guys at 10.
Agreed.
Not for this team. I think for certain teams, like a Barron at 10 would make sense. I could see the Jets at 7 taking him. Aaron Glenn, get Barron to that defense. I could see that. Nope. Let's have some fun. I know Jerry would never let it happen, but if it was possible, would you do what it took to trade for Micah Parsons? Yeah, we've talked about that a couple times. I would trade for him over Myles Garrett because he's 4 years younger. I love Micah. I know he gets a bad rep. He's got a podcast, all this stuff. He is so explosive as a pass rusher. I mean, he's a freak, dude. He is so freaking good. And he's 25, going to be 26. Like, you could have him for 10 years potentially. So, yeah, I mean, it would cost a lot. It would take 10 this year, your first next year, probably one of your second-round picks this year. It's probably what you're looking at. 10, 41 first next year. Would you do that? I'd think about it, but I think you'd have to see what happens in the rest of free agency to go that route. But I also don't think Dallas is trading him. But man, he is a top tier talent. Grade the Joe Thuney trade A, B, C, D, or F.
There we go. We are all caught up on super chats.
Hashtag Bears super chat.
Okay.
We'll hop into a mailbag here, Colin.
Yeah, here I can get that up on screen. Give me a sec.
We're at 271 in supers. If we get to 300, you want to do another
we can do that.
Beer bong race for $29 away.
Let's
if we get to 300, we'll do another beer bong race.
Let's go. Get the hashtag biz in the chat.
Let me double check something here with Thuney's cap hit. Should be updated over the cap. His cap hit this year is, $16 million. So that's pretty reasonable if they want to play it out. If they want to give him an extension, they could lower that number. So $16 million cap hit for a top 5 guard in the game. That'll work. That'll work. You know what else I'm liking too is, and I think this is kind of a Kevin Warren effect thing. We saw it with them paying a head coach finally, Ben Johnson. Like, the Bears are they're opening up the checkbooks, and everybody's like, well, yeah, you got to fill up cap space, but like these teams, like the cap hit is one thing, but a lot of teams, they have a cap each year on how much they let their GM spend in cash, right? Like, the cap hit for Jonah Jackson is only 11 and change, but they're going to pay him $17 million this year. That's a lot of money for one player. Joe Thuney, they're going to pay him a lot of money this year. So, like, they are willing to spend. That's what you got to do, man. You want to compete for Lombardis, you have to spend cash. And it starts with the coach. And they've finally done that, and you're seeing the ripple down effects with what they're willing to do in free agency. So, hashtag Bears Super Chat. We're already almost at 300, so we'll do the race after the mailbag. We're going to answer your questions. Thoughts on these two trades? What could happen next in free agency? Other trades, draft. We're going to cover it all here on this show. That's a juicy idea from the Notcast. We'll definitely get that mailbag in. It's going to be fun. Oh, Albert Breer just put out a mailbag, and one of them is, what would the Bears do at 10?
Ooh.
Let me look at this real quick.
Yeah, I'm resetting the link. Keep getting those hashtag Bears questions or Super Chat. You want to guarantee your chance on the show. We already got, I think, 3 Super Chats that came in. So we're going to make sure you guys are on this show.
Let's see. He says, if I'm Chicago, this is just like him answering. It's not reporting. He said, I'd be in position. Oh, my gosh. It just scrolled up on me. I would be looking at the rich pool of edge rushers, or he says find a versatile defensive back. I don't think they're going that route. Still mentions tackle as a possibility. So nothing earth-shattering there.
Nothing earth-shattering.
All right.
Very cool. All right. Do you want to start out with the social from Breer? He just was the first one to report the trade for the mailbag, or how do you want to do it?
No, we don't have to mention it. I'll just kind of be like, all right, this is a mailbag following the trades of Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson.
All that stuff. Gotcha.
Yep. All right, cool. Fire in those questions. $5 away from 300. If we get there, we'll do a beer bong race after the mailbag. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. Get your questions answered on the show. Let's get to it here on Chicago Bears Now. All right, we got a mailbag episode coming up here on Chicago Bears Now following the trade of Joe Thuney. That, of course, followed the trade of Jonah Jackson. If you missed it, Thuney to the Bears for a 2026 fourth-round pick. Absolutely love the move. And now Bears fans are going to fire in those questions here on today's show. My name is Harrison Graham. Let's get to it. All right, we got Tyler staying with a $2 Super Chat. Trade down to the teens, get Mykel Williams. Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from getting Jonah Jackson and obviously Joe Thuney is you've got a lot of flexibility. You could stick and pick at 10, still take a lineman. You could take Ashton Jeanty. You could trade down and get one of these edge rushers, which I don't love the edge rushers at 10, but in a trade-down scenario, a Mykel Williams, a Shamar Stewart, a Mike Green, whatever direction you want to go. Could Mason Graham fall to 10? So you want flexibility when you enter the draft. So I think the Bears have started to create that for themselves. And trading down for Mykel, like if they trade down to 15, 16, get him, maybe add an extra second-round pick, I would not argue against that whatsoever. Jordan Heflin, hey boys, it's that time of year. LFG, FGB, Curious Harrison, why do you think we're trying to keep Swift? I feel if the Bears draft Jeanty, Swift is going to get traded again like he did previously with the Lions. Well, the reason I think they're keeping Swift is, one, even though he's a flawed player, he still did have, I think, like 12 or 1,300 all-purpose yards last year. Like, he's still a productive back in this league. And Ben Johnson wants 2 running backs. I don't think Roschon Johnson is part of a 1-2 punch. Don't think he's dynamic enough. I think he's your third back that can give you some short yardage punch and special teams value. To me, if you draft Jeanty, you're pairing him with Swift, and Genty's rookie year, you may not want to run him into the ground because he had a ton of touches this year for Boise State. So you keep maybe like a 60-40 split with Swift, and then the next year you move on from Swift and you find a new back to pair with Jeanty. I think that's kind of the thinking there. So that's how I would approach it if they draft Ashton Jeanty. But I do expect DeAndre Swift to be on the roster in 2025. Great the trade of Joe Thuney, a 4th-round pick next year to get a 4-time All-Pro. I think it's an absolutely fantastic deal. A, B, C, D, or F. Fire in the comment section. How do you think the Bears did here? The Notcast, trade for Trayvon Walker. Let's keep the trades flowing. I wonder what Trayvon Walker would cost in a trade, because I don't think I would trade the number 10 pick for him. Would I trade 39 or 41, though? I'd probably consider it. I know people have been like, oh, that was one of the worst number 1 picks ever. Well, Trayvon Walker the last 2 years, 10 sacks, 10.5 sacks. He's not a perfect player. If they could do that over, they wouldn't have taken him number 1, certainly not over Aiden Hutchinson. But, like, if he was, like, the 8th pick, people would be like, yeah, it's a pretty good pick, good pass rusher, could play the run pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, like, if you could trade 39 or 41 for him, I'd probably consider that. I'm not trading the 10th pick, though. Dennis, the Chicago kid, #Bears, with polls trading for 2 guards they might not love who's available in free agency or the draft at center. What's the center you think the Bears could trade for? I'd be shocked if they also traded for a center. I don't even know who would be available in a trade for a center. I'd have to look through some teams' rosters. But obviously the free agent options, Drew Dahlman, sounds like he's going to get a huge contract. My gut tells me he's not going to be a Bear. I think they don't want to pay big for him. He might get like 17, 18 million a year. Options after that, Ryan Kelly, I think on a 1 or 2 year deal, vet from Indy. You'd have 2 big-time vets on the interior with him and Joe Thuney, obviously. And then maybe you draft a center as well. And then Josh Myers from the Packers. Bigger center, which is what obviously Ben Johnson had in Detroit with Frank Ragnow. He's about 6'5", 310. So maybe they'd go that route. Maybe you bring back Coleman Shelton and draft a guy. So we'll see what happens there. But when you upgrade at guard, like you did, especially with Thuney, it gives you options. And that's what you want. You want optionality as a general manager in this league. What say you? Do you think the Bears signed Drew Dahlman? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I don't think they do. Producer Colin does think they do, so we'll see which one of us is right. We may have to put a little wager on that. Y for yes, in for no. Will the Bears sign Drew Dahlman? All right, more questions to come, so keep firing away. #Bears or Super Chat. But first, we got to talk about our sponsor. That, of course, is Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Bears now to get signed up and download the best personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Question for you guys. How much per month do you think you're spending on subscriptions? Fire away in the chat. Well, guess what? The answer is closer to $300. Most Americans think they spend about $62 per month, but it's way more. I mean, think about the amount of subscription services from streaming apps and online newspapers and grocery services, whatever the case may be. It adds up. And when you can see it all on one screen, like Rocket Money shows you, you're like, wow, I may have to scale back here. That's what I did, my wife and I, because we got big bills, man. We got a mortgage. We got a daycare monthly bill for our son. Like, I know a lot of you guys have similar stuff. You got to pick and choose what you're willing to pay for. And Rocket Money is going to help you make those decisions and just kind of outline in real time what you're spending your money on. So get started with Rocket Money today. They have over 5 million users and counting and have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 per year when using all of the app's features. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Bears now. I'm just going to mention this since we're live as well. If you're watching the mailbag later, you've probably already seen this news, but Tyler Lockett just got cut by the Seattle Seahawks. The price is right. Don't mind him as a wide receiver free. Just going to throw that out there. Christian, how much impact do you think Ben Johnson had on these 2 trades? I think a lot. For sure with Jonah Jackson. Guy he's worked with directly. I think that's obvious. Obviously, Poles is familiar with Thuney. He was with Kansas City when they traded for him. Did they trade for him for New England or sign him? I can't remember now. I think they traded for him. Either way, he was a part of that regime that got him. So that was probably more of a collaborative effort. But I think Ben Johnson, his fingerprints are all over what the Bears are doing right now, and I absolutely love that. Cranes Mate Gaines, thoughts on James Pierce at 10? He did great at the Combine. I think based on just, without knowing completely what's true, 10 probably feels rich. There's a lot of mysterious chatter going on around him. Like, does he love football? What's going on off the field? Again, I don't know anything. But when enough people start saying things, like, there's something up there. I would like him better in a trade down scenario. I've seen reports where he could fall out of the first round. So I think 10 is probably a little rich right now, but maybe some of those things get cleared up. He was a preseason #1 pick. He was in the mix for that on paper coming into this year. Still had a pretty good year on paper for Tennessee, so we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if we get more information between now and the draft. We cover the latest Bears news, rumors, free agency, draft buzz, and a whole lot more. Obviously, trade coverage as well here on the channel. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of it. We're trying to get to 118,000 subs ASAP, so help us get there. It's free. We thank you very much. Levante, Eric McCoy, or Cesar Ruiz via trade from New Orleans. The problem is it actually doesn't really save the Saints money if they trade those guys. They have structured contracts so bad over the years and kicked money down the road. I mean, I like both those guys, but I just, for the Saints, it actually doesn't help them. So unless it's post-June 1, which, am I trading for my starting center in June? Probably not. So I don't think that's just an avenue that you can go down. Nope. Appreciate the 5. Let's have some fun. I know Jerry would never let it happen, but if it was possible, what do you think it would take to get Micah Parsons? I think it's 10 this year, your first-round pick, your first next year, and probably 39 or 41. Like, does that get it done? 2 1s and a 2, especially a high 2 this year? Like, that's probably what my offer would be. Would I expand that? Would I do 39 and 41? I don't know if I could do that. But it's going to cost a lot, and he's worth it because he's a 25-year-old superstar pass rusher. So I think the Cowboys find a way to keep him. I think they're going to keep him in Dallas. But if they opened up trades for him, I would be sniffing around if I was Ryan Poles. Peace is a lie. Is Young the best option for a defensive end signing? His money seems comparable to the other top guys out there, and he's only 25 with history playing alongside Sweat and under Dennis Allen last year. Don't forget that with the Saints. He was 7th in the NFL in pressures for defensive ends. I think it depends. I think there's some risk here. Yes, he's young, but he has had some injuries in the past. Also, there was motor concerns at the end of his time in Washington and when he went to the 49ers. Maybe that got straightened out last year. Maybe he's matured. I think in a perfect world, he is the best option because he is still so young. Khalil Mack feels like a safer short-term option. You know what he's about. You know what he brings to the table. I think his best football, by the way, is still better than Chase Young. So, if you have to go three or 4 years for Young, which I'm not sure you would, but if you did, I'd probably rather go Mack for 1 or 2 years. But I wouldn't rule out Chase Young. I'll say this. If they sign Chase Young, I got to think Dennis Allen had a lot of input there and feels good about where he's at this point in his career. So I do think him and Mack are my top 2 guys. I would rather go that route than Josh Sweat, who I think is going to just get a massive overpaid contract. I don't think I'm in that business without knowing what the numbers are, but we'll see. If Chase Young, I still think there's a scenario where he can be a game wrecker in this league. He's 25. We've seen the flashes. We'll see. I'm certainly not closing that book. Appreciate all the questions here on this mailbag episode. If you got more, at HGramNFL. I know I got DMs after this Thuney trade I'm going to have to catch up on. At HGramNFL, Twitter, Instagram. We got you covered. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll continue to answer some questions on these live shows moving forward. All right, Colin, you want to kind of talk a little Tyler Lockett since you're a Seahawks fan and obviously can tie the Bears into this. I think as a number 3, that's pretty intriguing depending on the price.
Yeah, I'm actually about to send a tweet out right now. Seahawks knew it was coming, but
he's one of the better players in that franchise's history.
For sure. Former 3rd-round pick out of K-State. Originally drafted as a kind of return specialist, was an All-Pro actually his rookie year as a returner, and gave 10 really great years to Seattle. So knew it was coming, but I still think he's got a lot to offer this league, and the Bears' 3rd wide receiver position, it's open.
What do you think, gut feeling? What does he get on the market? Is he touching double-digit figures?
I don't know. I mean, he didn't have the greatest year last year. I know that for
he's slipping. There's no doubt.
I don't know if he gets double digits, like maybe with incentives, like he reaches double digits.
Last year, 49 catches, 600 yards, 12.2 average, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If you told me he would give you something similar to that, maybe a couple more touchdowns, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I mean, can you get that for $8 million? I think he's a perfect number 3 at this stage in his career because he's going to bring a lot to a locker room. He is one of the highest character guys in the league.
Yep.
That goes back to his Kansas State days. I watched him up close in college multiple times. Hell of a player, hell of a leader, 10-year vet. When they traded for Keenan Allen last year, it cost $22. if you can get that for less than half with Tyler Lockett, and I think Keenan's a little bit of a better player at this stage than Tyler is, but not crazy better, like I'd be interested in that. Like if you could get 40 to 50 catches, 500 to 700 yards, and 3 to 5 touchdowns for Tyler Lockett for less than $10 million, like I would sign up for that because I know what he's going to bring to the locker room. Like he is
100%.
a high character guy.
Oh yeah, he's definitely an option out there. I to be honest, in terms of where he could go,
Raiders Pete Carroll. Does he want to help like rejuvenate a franchise? Does he want to? Yeah. Chiefs. There's been those rumors have been there for years.
Tyler and Pete are tight. I mean, I don't. Let's put it this way. I don't know a lot of people that are anti Tyler Lockett, but
yeah, this is Schefter's tweet. One natural landing spot for Tyler Lockett is the Raiders, whose head coach Pete Carroll knows the locker room well, or wide receiver well. Lockett's character has always matched his talent, and Carroll has been a big supporter. Raiders need receiver help. Yeah, I mean, that receiver room, they've got Jacoby Myers and, like, Trey Tucker. Like, he might even be, like, a number 2 in Vegas. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Okay.
We got to do a beer ball.
Oh, yeah, we crossed 300. You good?
Yeah, no, I'm
a little emotional here.
A little bit, yeah.
I feel that he's a core guy. Bit. That would be like trying to think of a recent Bears guy who was there for 10 years. They haven't had a lot recently. I don't know. It's like Akeem Hicks. What didn't start his career with the Bears? That was a tough one when they moved on from him. Someone in the chat, I loved Williams and Keenan Allen's connection this year. If Allen is okay with letting Rome and DJ go off and just being security blanket, we could do that. I just don't think Keenan Allen views himself as like a distant third receiver. Yeah.
All right. I will go grab a couple beers. Give me a
sec. By the way, just to mention this tweet from earlier, Albert Breer, trading Joe Thuney wasn't easy for the Chiefs. He's loved in that building, but Kansas City has the highest paid center in the NFL, and now on a tag, its highest paid guard. Being in that spot, tough to extend Thuney. The Bears, on the other hand, can easily extend him, he says. Oh, another receiver option. Onions. Onions. Who has that one? Adam is wide awake. You guys let me know in the chat. Keenan Allen, type 1. Christian Kirk, type 2. Tyler Lockett, type 3. Who would you want? 1 for Keenan Allen, 2 for Christian Kirk, 3 for Tyler Lockett. Out of those 3. Cran says 3, Asmonic says 3, Caden says 2, Nick says 1. Say 3 is the front runner, Tyler Lockett. Well, Kirk's a free agent, so you would sign him to a new contract, Jordan. 2 because of youngness. Yeah, I mean, Christian Kirk, how old is Christian Kirk? He's 28. He's had some injuries, though. Someone says Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is not available. He's going back to the Bucs. And even if he was, he's going to cost more. I asked the chat, 1 for Keenan Allen, 2 for Christian Kirk, 3 for Tyler Lockett. If all were healthy, I'd pick Kirk because he's younger and I think has a little more juice, but he's also been hurt the last 2 years.
Let's see. Dennis, what does Cullen think of all those cuts Seattle made or any of those potential options for the Bears? They were expected. I actually did a video. We did a video on for Chat Sports on like predicting the cuts. I predicted Rayshon Jenkins. I mean, buy low, low risk, high reward signings, I guess.
Maybe one of the D tax is a depth piece. I mean, a couple years ago, Draymond Jones was viewed as a rising star, and that obviously did not work, but could have been a scheme. The problem with Jones is he's more of a 3-4 guy. I don't know if he fits what Dennis Allen wants to do unless he wants to play him at edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a busy couple days in the NFL world.
Just a little busy, man. Just a little bit. Do this.
Claypool, give me a break.
That's funny.
Give me a break. All right, we crossed 300. Cheers. You want to count us down? Pour one out for Tyler.
For Tyler.
Tyler Lockett, baby. Maybe
3.
future Bear. Who knows?
Maybe. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. Honestly, if he does sign, at least I'll get to see him on Sundays. So, yeah, I'm here for it.
I'll just be curious to see what he wants at this stage. Does he want the most money available? Does he want to contend? Does he want to reunite with Pete and help bring back a franchise?
I think he's a Raider.
I could see him being motivated to try and bring a franchise that's been down bad for a while back.
Joey Bosa released some.
And it's kind of the best. Oh, really?
Well, Tito just sent that as a super chat.
Talk to me, Tito. Talk to me. It's a news Wednesday, baby. Not saying anything yet.
Tito, if you get this first.
Tito Scoops.
Tito Scoops. Here's, again, that's what he said.
Tito Scoops.
I haven't seen it.
I've not either. Let's go. We're back, baby. You can just feel the NFL news cycle. It's here. Yeah. Good times. Good times. All right, here's what we're going to do.
Dude, like, is there any Bosa news? Anything?
I haven't seen anything. I do think he's getting cut, though. They're not. He's not staying on a $36 million cap hit.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Tito got sources? Question mark.
Did you get fake Scheftered? There's a fake Shefty out there.
Maybe.
Oh man.
Yep.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're at $304 in supers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's throw. Do we have a little shot clock
Yeah, we
available?
can get a shot clock going. Here,
Let's throw 5 minutes on the shot clock. If we get to 350, we'll do one more beer bong race on the way out. 5 minutes, and then we'll sign off.
Okay.
Either way, we'll sign off after the 5. If we get to 350, maybe we'll do another 5-10 minutes of Q&A. But I do want to get a mock draft cooking, although I may talk about these other free agents first.
There's so much.
So much juice I got to get to. So,
here we go. Oh, that's awesome.
All right. 5 minutes on the clock. Hell with beer bongs. Do a fat dab of wax. Even if I wanted to, I don't think we could do that on the show. But, yeah. Someone says PMS reported a possible 2-year, $41 million extension. Who's PMS? Pardon my take? Do you mean PMT? I think that's on the table around that range for Thuney. Yeah. Especially if the second year is not as much guaranteed
Dennis
money.
Says you'll know if Hargrave getting cut. What is Sanford? Yeah, he's getting cut.
Hargrave is getting cut too. Oh, Ricky Scoop says Jamel Dean will get cut if he doesn't accept the pay cut. All right. Here we go. By the way, your Seahawks. So it feels like a new day. A lot of guys walking out the door.
Yeah, the old regime. I mean, it's
what's their cap sitch after all these cuts?
So after the moves that they made, what was it yesterday? That got them, under the cap.
Oh, so they were kind of they had some cap issues.
Yeah. So that got them underneath the cap.
What does Lockett save him?
I just read the numbers yesterday. I think he was owed like $31 million with like a $17 million cap.
So they probably have like $20 million available now.
Something like that.
Free up $17 million.
Yeah, freed up.
Spotrac says Seattle has $32 million.
Yeah.
So they've freed up some money.
Yeah. They'll also be in the Drew Dolman sweepstakes.
If they extend Geno, that probably lowers his cap at this year too.
Along with DK Metcalf, if they look to extend him.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but save $17 million, but we'll take a 13.8 dead cap hit. So that's what it was. Oh, man. Yeah, definitely a new era. We'll see. We'll see what it turns into.
Yeah. Busy day, man. The NFL, the news cycle never stops, man.
Busy day for Teaser as well.
Just never stops. Yeah. All right, 2.5 minutes. If you guys want us to rip one more, we will. Got to get to 350. If not, we'll call it a day. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Still more content to come. We will have, at minimum, one more video on the channel today, so stay tuned for that.
By the way, when are we thinking of putting the mailbag out? You want to?
Probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow
before
morning.
Live, yeah.
Maybe tomorrow morning's the play for that.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll do the mock live tomorrow.
Ooh, okay.
Live mocks are fun.
Yeah.
I'll do a...
mock draft.
Might do, like, free agency buzz this afternoon.
Yeah.
How about this? You guys decide. Do y'all want me to do a mock draft and put it out this afternoon or save it for live tomorrow?
You let us know.
Live this afternoon. You guys let me know. I'll make it a poll. You guys can vote. When should Harrison do his next Bears mock draft? This afternoon, non-live. Tomorrow.
People are saying live.
Live.
Today. Live.
I just put a poll in there. Go vote. Go vote. Mocks live are always fun. So we'll see what the poll is saying. Whatever is best for business. Hey, we're men of the people.
That we are.
We're men of the people.
Oh, as we get another super chat.
All right. That gets us in range. A $20 super chat would get us to 350. We got 45 seconds left. Is someone going to get there?
Who's it going to be?
Someone going to get us there. We need a $20 soup because peace is a lie. What a name with the 25.
Yeah, we'll get them on screen here in a second whenever it loads.
All right. Fan voted mock. Probably not tomorrow, but we will do a fan-led mock. We might even do one at some point during our live free agency streams when things slow down. We'll have to show Colin how to do that. He's never done one of those. Those are fun.
Fan-led mock or whatever?
Yeah.
I have not.
They're fun. All right, 10 seconds.
Well,
the 20 gets us there.
Technically I have, but it wasn't on this channel.
Oh, okay. All right, ice down the cores next time. Upgrade or retreat. Yeah, usually we go happy dads, but we're out. So, this is what we got. This is what we got. Okay, Young, Paul, free agent targets, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat. I don't think they're in the Milton Williams sweepstakes. Sounds like the Patriots are going to throw a bag at him. I don't think the Bears end up getting him. Maybe Sweat, but I just think he's going to cost an arm and a leg. And I'd rather go Chase Young or Khalil Mack, I think. So we'll see Young Paul, but I don't think the Bears get either of those guys, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Now we're getting 10-day contract news from Mark Stein. Colin Castleton. All right. I'll give you all about 30 more seconds. If we get to 350, we'll let it rip. If not, we're going to call it. So 30 seconds on the clock.
I actually just got reminded I got a meeting.
What time?
Right now.
Oh, okay.
But it's all right. If y'all are down to party, I guess I'll be filled in.
Well, we're about to wrap up. We'll wrap up either way. Joey with the $2. What's up, Marty K?
What up, what up?
Long time no see. Long time no see. All right, couple coming in. They're trying to get us over the finish line. We're now $12 away.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if we get 2 more 5s, we'll count it.
We'll count it, yeah.
Joey, curious what you think of the Rams center. Well, he's a guard. He's played a little center. I think he's playing guard. He was good in Detroit. He's had some minor injury issues the last couple years. Last year, for whatever reason, combination of injuries, maybe scheme, I don't know, didn't work out with the Rams. Did play well in Week 18 when they rested their starters. So, that's something. But I think the familiarity with Ben Johnson, worthwhile swing, was good for 4 years in Detroit. So, like that move. Obviously, love the Thuney move. So, yeah, we'll see how it all works out, obviously.
We're staying.
Yes.
We're staying.
We're over the finish line.
I'm going to send Sam a message here in a second.
Just say, hey, we should be done in the next 5 to 10 if y'all want to wait. Alex says, you think bringing Lockett in would take away from Rome? Not really. I think at this point in Lockett's career, he's a clear role player. Work the slot, be a guy on third down you can target. I don't think bringing Lockett in is I don't think you're targeting him over Rome Odunze. It would be a clear defined number 3 role. Okay, the Banners getting us over the finish line. Shout out to the Banners. We appreciate it. All right. You want to knock out this last one here?
Let's do it.
Then Cullen can get to his meeting.
Yeah. All right.
What a day.
What a day.
All right, you want to count us down?
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. More foam with these.
Woo!
Excuse me.
All right, awesome stream, awesome start to the day. More content to come. Pretty close in the poll. I think we'll save the mock for live. Although this afternoon took the lead. We'll see. We'll see what the buzz is, but at the latest, we'll have our mock draft tomorrow afternoon on our live show. That is coming, maybe today, but we'll see. But another video, 100% will be on the channel this afternoon, probably 5, 6 o'clock, so be on the lookout for that. If there's breaking news before then, we'll have that out as well. Shout out to Colin for producing. My name is Harrison Graham. You guys are real ones. Hit that sub button, like the video on the way out. We'll see you guys soon. Bear down.